following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Let's see, well, don't they know what kids like? I know. I don't, he does. And Amber. Oh, it's my brother-in-law. Yes, I do know her. I know her. Oh, here's the bagpipe. Yeah, we had a friend that was oh, nice. Cute. Little house on the prairie, people. I didn't see a sign.
Well, Mustache's kid.
No, they never got my phone in the oh, but I'm not going to let
I know him.
Thank you. I see you later. All set. They put the rubbish out. They washed it out. I know. We've always down where their pond is.
Jewish camp.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That was still there.
Yeah.
Oh, and they even had Elvis impersonators. I did too. I but my mother thought we were tomorrow, so I had to do that. So hard to say thank you,
Beneath the shade of a Georgia pine, and that's all I know.
Oh, look at that. Thank you. All right.
Hi, Mrs. Brown.
No
Hello. Yeah, there's a willow hiding underneath the dog. She was supposed to be. Anyway.
They're handing out.
Bye, guys. But with the sirens, we couldn't do it. Wow, sharp. Well, that's where the ice cream is. It's coming. Yeah, Sharpenham's got an old ice cream truck. Yeah. Right, but I don't know if that's really an original truck.
Hey, my name is Matt Lepore. I have a show on Channel 20 on LCTV called About Litchfield. It's a show about Litchfield's history and government. I completed the first episode in March, and it is on air on Channel 20 currently, and it is on YouTube as of last week. The next episode is about Litchfield's history prior to American independence. Listed at the bottom of the sign, I have the names of the first 4 veterans. They fought in the French and Indian War of 1756. A British Colonel Goff requested that Litchfield residents come and serve, and so these 4 men stepped up, and yeah, they will be mentioned on the next episode.
Let us pray. Lord God, on this 150th anniversary of the celebration of Memorial Day, we continue the tradition of Julia Ward Howe in honoring our fallen heroes and those serving this country today. This is a time when we remember the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, 100 years ago in November. We honor the 100,000 Americans who sacrificed their lives in what is called the Great War, the war to end all wars. We honor the close to 5 million Americans who served in that war, 1 of 4 of every American male between the age of 18 and 31. We pause again to pray in thanks for those heroes who 1 century ago never returned home after helping to restore peace in Europe. We honor the more than 1 million men and women who sacrificed their lives for our nation in wars. We decorate their graves. We proudly fly the American flag to honor their memory. And in doing this, we pledge our nation's allegiance to the great cause of freedom for which they fought and ultimately died. We recognize that freedom is not free, but is paid for every day by those putting their lives on the line. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Weiler. Would all of those who have served in the military please stand for a moment of recognition? Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts will now present the colors.
We dog sit.
Yeah.
Actually, we just had a fishing. She's a serious person. Was that? No. Her budget.
Yeah, it's amazing. Huh?
If Police Chief Joe O'Brien and Fire Chief Frank Fretzel would come forward, I'd like to have them lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Campbell High School Band is now going to play the Star-Spangled Banner. Singing will be led by Michaela Scott, but we'd like you to all join in.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched
Good morning. We would like to welcome you here today for our Memorial Day program and to thank all those who are participating in today's events. Memorial Day is the one day we set aside each year to honor the memories of those Americans from all branches of the military who have given their lives for our country. Across our nation, in small towns like ours, services are being held at town halls and at local cemeteries, joined by scouts, veteran groups, and auxiliary organizations. Graves are decorated with flags and flowers. Songs are sung, poems are read, and taps is played to bring the ceremonies to a close. This year marks the 70th anniversary of women who have officially served in the United States military. Even though women have unofficially served in past years, it was not until June 12, 1948, that President Harry S. Truman signed the Women's Armed Services Integration Act that allowed women in the military. At that time, the act included the presence of women in the WAC, in the WAVE, in the Marine Corps, and the Air Force. Today, women serve in all branches of the military and do so honorably. Today, we stop and remember the sacrifices made by our men and women so that we can enjoy the freedoms we have today. Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, D.C. is the resting place for many of our veterans. This cemetery is known for the pure white stones that mark the graves of our servicemen and women who are buried there. At this time, the Campbell High School Choir, under the direction of Jill Pennington, will perform Blades of Grass and Pure White Stone to honor all those who rest in Arlington National Cemetery, as well as all the cemeteries where our fallen soldiers lie. The Campbell High School Chorus.
Very
It is with pleasure that we welcome our State Senator Donna Soucy for a few Memorial Day remarks.
Thank you, Stephen, and good morning to all of you. As I was driving over this morning, I was reflecting on what an important day today is in our country, our state, and here in the town of Litchfield. It's an important day because so many people in our country, all of us, have so many choices, whether it was spending the day on a vacation, gathering family together for a barbecue, going to sporting events. All of us have many choices to make, but I know all of you are here today because you made the important choice to reflect on the sacrifices of those who have served. And today we are talking a little more, particularly about the service of those during World War I. It's the centennial of World War I, and there are many important lessons that I think we can draw from it. One is a lesson of common purpose. World War I was a war that drove everyone into service, not just men, but women, people of color. In fact, World War I was the first war that many women served in the U.S. military. Although not necessarily in uniform, more than 20,000 women served in the Army Nurse Corps. 400 U.S. women served in the U.S. Army Signal Corps as telephone operators, speaking both English and French and making sure that people stayed connected and that important messages were sent back and forth. The Navy also recruited 11,000 women to serve as yeomanettes, women who engaged in clerical work, were electricians, and were mechanics. And right here at home in New Hampshire, when I think about World War I think about our State House. And I know I can see many young faces here, and students come on a fourth grade tour when they're learning about New Hampshire history and visit our State House to learn more about our state, its government, its history. But in particular, I'm always inspired walking up the front steps and through the door to the Hall of Flags, because right in the front of the Hall of Flags is the World War I memorial that lists the names of all those who died in service to this country from our great state. New Hampshire participated significantly in World War I, providing more than 20,000 men for military service, significant financial contributions, supplying 150,000 members of the Red Cross and contributing to that organization. Numerous groups throughout our communities, the Young Men's and Young Women's Christian Associations, the Salvation Army, the Jewish Welfare Board, the Federation of Women's Clubs, all volunteered and donated funds because all were united in one common purpose, and that was preserving democracy and ensuring the strength of our country. And I hope today that as all of you reflect on the service of those who came before us, you think a little bit about the choices that we make each and every day. And when we make them with one united and common purpose, we are all better off, we are all stronger when we are all working together. So I thank you for the opportunity to be with you here today, and I wish all of you a Memorial Day celebration that gives you pause and time for reflection and remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Soucy. At this time, the Campbell High School Combined Concert Band, under the direction of Carolyn Lake, and the Campbell High School Chorus will perform United We Stand, a song that is a symbol of our unity and patriotism.
United we stand. United we stand. Tis a gift to be simple. Tis a gift to be simple. Tis a gift to be free. Tis a gift to be simple. Tis a gift to be free. To be Oh, beautiful, for he was liberating more than some their country love, their mercy more than love. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining My country is of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing, and where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's Ride. From every mountain side and freedom Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. United we stand. United we stand. United we stand.
Thank you. Great job. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the ending of World War I, a war that started in the Balkans and moved quickly to France. The United States entered the war on April 6, 1917, after Germany resumed attacking unarmed ships in the Atlantic. Much of this war was fought between the Allies and German troops along a 450-mile line of parallel trenches, with the spaces between them referred to as no man's land. This area of fighting was referred to as the Western Front. This global conflict began in Europe in 1914 and ended with the signing of the armistice on November 11, 1918. It involved over 20 countries and forever changed the political and economic culture of Europe. Dr. Stephen Callawar will now read the names of those who served from Litchfield.
The following residents from Litchfield served in the First World War, and their names are on the plaques here at the Historical Society building and at the Aaron Cutler Memorial Library. Serving in the United States Army, Corporal William Henry Holland, Private Clarence W. Haight, Private William R. Hopwood, Private Claude J. Hopwood, Private Henry Moreau, Private Clifford Sanders. Serving in the United States Navy, Benton C. Morgan and Earl J. Hopwood. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Flanders Fields is a cemetery in Belgium where many World War I soldiers who fought on the Western Front are buried. 6 acres of this cemetery are dedicated to the United States servicemen who were killed while fighting on the Western Front. To honor those who fought and died during this war and are buried in Flanders Fields or other cemeteries throughout Europe, the poem In Flanders Fields and its reply, The Answer, will be read by Dr. Kimberly Queenan and Marion Colby.
In Flanders Fields by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw, the torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
America's Answer. Rest ye in peace, ye Flanders dead. The fight that you so bravely led we've taken up, and we will keep true faith with you who lie asleep, with a cross to mark his bed and poppies blowing overhead, when once his own lifeblood ran red. So let your rest be sweet and deep in Flanders Fields. Fear not that you have died for naught. The torch ye threw to us we caught. 10 million hands will hold it high, and freedom's light will never die. We've learned the lesson that you taught in Flanders Fields.
Thank you. At this time, I invite Richard Glass to come forward. He will be playing Amazing Grace to honor those who fought and died during World War I. Thank you, Richard. Presenting the Boston Post cane to a town's oldest resident has been a New England tradition since the early 1900s. I would like to call Carolyn Lambert forth to talk about our presentation.
The Boston Post cane. The Boston Post cane dates back to 1909 when the publisher of the Boston Post newspaper had 70 walking canes made of ebony wood with a 14-karat crown on top. The canes were sent out to New England towns to be presented to the oldest citizen of each town. Litchfield has continued the tradition. This past fall, Litchfield Historical Society presented the Boston Post cane to Gladys Wooden, who turned 97 years young, who will turn 97 years young this coming September. And Gladys has been a resident of Litchfield for over 60 years. Gladys grew up on her family farm in Manchester, Connecticut, when she attended a one-room schoolhouse similar to the one-room schoolhouses we had here in Litchfield. And during World War II, Gladys joined the war effort as a nurse's aide, working 48-hour shifts at Memorial Hospital in Manchester, Connecticut, and her husband Charles served his country during the Korean War. Then in 1955, Gladys and her husband moved to Litchfield, New Hampshire, and Gladys discovered this landscape and the family farms in Litchfield were similar to her family farm in Connecticut. And Gladys has spent much of her life here in Litchfield volunteering and still volunteering at the Cashin Senior Center in Manchester, New Hampshire. So Gladys, would you please come forward so you can... Congratulations to Litchfield's oldest citizen. There we go.
It's the first time I've seen so many people in Litchfield. I think this is a wonderful thing. I enjoyed gatherings like this as a child in our hometown, and it brings back a lot of happy memories. I'm glad to see some farms still around. I love the farm life. I hope that you all can appreciate the freedom we have in this country. It breaks my heart to see what we have come to, and I'm praying with all my heart that things will turn around and we will be a country with respect for everybody and everything. May we all see this come true. Thank you so very much.
Congratulations, Gladys. The last selection by the band will be the Armed Forces Salute, a tribute we have been playing each year to recognize and honor all branches of the military. We ask that you or family members stand and wave to be recognized when your service song is played. United States Coast Guard. The United States Marine Corps.
Joan?
Good morning, Litchfield. Thank you all for coming. What I want to announce is that all the walkers who are in period garments that walked in my delegation to please assemble in front of the historical building after the ceremony for pictures. This is our big photo walk. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your service. Have a great day.
Thank you, John. Remember, the Historical Society building is open after the program ends. Refreshments are being sold by Friends of Campbell High School Music and by the Litchfield Presbyterian Church. We hope that you all had an enjoyable day.
Let us pray. We pray, O God, that the sacrifices of these lives will not be in vain, that we too will take up the cause of peace, peace with each other, peace in our nation, and a lasting peace among the nations. We covenant together during this 11th hour to promote peace in our community, our neighborhoods, our homes, our schools, and our churches. We unite with our fellow Americans in prayer for peace in our world, for we are one nation under God, and in God we trust. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Laura.
This year, we have again asked the Campbell High School seniors who will be entering the armed forces to accompany our veterans as they place the wreaths in memory of all those who have served. We have one student that will be participating today. I would like to call up at this time veteran Dan Garrett, United States Army, and with him veteran Barry Bean, United States Marine Corps. They will be placing a wreath on the grave on the granite marker by the flagpole for those who have served in all wars. I would like to call up veteran Mary Sapirik, United States Air Force. Veteran Scott Sapirik, her husband, United States Marine Corps. And veteran William Jennings, her father, United States Marine Corps. They will be placing a wreath in the Merrimack River in memory of those lost at sea. I would like to call up veteran Colonel retired Kelly Frazier, United States Army, and veteran F. Robert Leary, United States Army. They will be accompanied by Campbell High School senior Tyler Myers, who will be entering the United States Air Force after graduation. They will be placing a wreath on the plaque at Aaron Cutler Memorial Library for those who served in World War I and World War II. They will be accompanied by the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, and any others who wish to join them. I would like to call up Girl Scout Troop 123391. They will be placing flags behind the church cemetery for the 8 veterans that are buried there. We ask that you all stand for the placement of the wreaths and the playing of taps. This concludes our Memorial Day services. We'd like to thank everybody who came and participated. And remember, our building is open, and there is still some refreshments over by the Friends of Campbell High Music. A big thank you to the band and the chorus from Campbell High School. Thank you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.